Now, I'd love to be able to say that I sleep more on a rest day, but the truth is, I take every set of sleep to complete failure. Rest in reserve equals 0. Go hard or stay home and save life. What? Sorry, mixing up catchphrases. It's early. It's not really. I'm doing this voiceover at 9 PM like 3 days later. Anyway, if I was an astute YouTuber, I would have Googled the optimal rest day routine and then orchestrated this whole video based on that, but I do happen to not be a psychopath, so this is just a normal, typical rest day in the life of your host, me. Obviously just going to put the word routine. I mean, it's just a normal rest day, but I'll just put the word routine in the title because it's YouTube in it, mate. I was going to do one of those waking up shots where I pretend to be half asleep in bed, you know, to illustrate me getting up in the morning, but something just felt a little bit too weird about setting up a tripod and then climbing back into bed, so I think I'm just going to say higher instead. This is me, evidently. I've just woken up, which does happen to be my favourite way to start the day. And today is a rest day, so let us stride forward together into this brand new dawn and recuperate. That was quite inspiring, wasn't it? I am quite inspiring, to be honest. Right, let's do it. I'll be funny, but how pointless is a throw? Take it off your bed just to put it back on again. Take it off at night, put it back on in the morning, never use it. Sick. Just to go with it. Banana bread life. On rest days we make banana bread. I usually stick to Nespresso pods because I'm quite a stickler for trying to ration my caffeine intake after some rather unnerving experiences related to excessive consumption a while back. So I usually try and stick to about 150 milligrams a day, which conveniently works out to around a double espresso or a single can of Monster. Now, it does seem that after many decades I've finally mastered the art of restraint, at least in one small area of my life. However, today, just made a coffee in the cafetiere because I needed a proper smooth segue into the sponsor of today's video.
Who is the sponsor this time?
It's your banana bread. It's Max's Banana Bread Industries. It's not really, it's Morning Brew, which is the free daily newsletter focused on business, finance and tech that has come to replace the cat videos in my morning ritual. I figure, why not read something relevant to me that I can actually learn something from, rather than just starting my morning and immediately opening Instagram to find that, oh wait, it's still actually dead boring. This week, for example, I learned that Lamborghini have brought out plans for electric vehicles, which means I still can't afford one. I can probably afford one even less now, to be honest. And I'm also closely following the absolute rollercoaster that is the crypto market, which is interesting to say the least. It's always snappy and to the point, which makes a nice change from the clickbait title and then 8 paragraphs of pad that you get with traditional news. And it's literally a 15-second job to subscribe on top of being absolutely free. That means there is absolutely 0 reasons not to. Anyway, let's watch me take stirring banana bread batter to an RPE 7. Doing. Okay, wooden spoon time. Levels to this game. For breakfast, I have the same thing I have every day, which brings me to a more general point. I don't alter my calories on a rest day. Do you burn fewer? Yes, but I'd prefer to consume my average calorie requirement over 7 days rather than trying to estimate how many fewer I require on a rest day. If 2 people in parallel universes average the same calorie intake over 7 days, there's probably not going to be any difference in body composition if one of them eats 3,000 a day and the other eats 3,100 for 5 days and 2,750 for the other 2. If you haven't gathered yet, I am generally about trying to get the best results with the least effort. Some call that lazy, some call it efficient. All I know is, it's the Baguelo lifestyle. I don't know what that means, it's just, I like bagels, just to clarify. After breakfast, I also check pre-market for my daily dose of anxiety at how my portfolio is hemorrhaging value due to some inflation fears and Chinese stock delisting concerns. Anyway, by that point, my procrastination guilt has built up to the point where it outweighs my need to avoid work, so I actually do some work. Having an office that's a dedicated room in the house with a blackout blind, comfy chair and sit-stand desk does really help me to focus for longer, but I still get cabin fever after a while and I start randomly moving around the house to work on the laptop, iPad or even with the prehistoric prehistoric relics I dug up from an ancient Roman burial site, the pen and paper. Now I could have gone a different way with this video. Instead of showing you what I do on a rest day, I could have tried to show you what an optimal rest day would look like. However, when you look at it, the truth is there isn't really that much research that pertains specifically to that. There are a lot of studies on things like active recovery, but a lot of those focus on post-workout active recovery, i.e. stuff you do on a training day, not on a rest day. Or they look at things like perceived recovery, perceived fatigue, and delayed onset muscle soreness. Now, if you weight train frequently, you probably don't experience that much DOMS anyway. In fact, that's the best way to avoid experiencing it. However, there is still one overarching takeaway point that we can glean from the whole body of research around recovery, which is that increased blood flow to an area is generally good for recovery. That's why muscular injuries recover faster than ligaments. It's one of the reasons why deep tissue massage can help. And it's why if you really want to absolutely maximize recovery, it might be a good idea to just do some very light exercise involving the muscle groups that you've trained recently. Now, beyond local muscular fatigue, there is also the issue of CNS fatigue, which actually, when you look at the research, isn't an issue, at least not if your training is predominantly resistance-based. Endurance style training actually takes much greater toll on your CNS than any strength training does. And if strength training does result in any CNS fatigue, it's very minor and you usually recover from it quite fast. So going back to my earlier point about getting the maximum results with the minimum effort, one of the implications of that for me is not concerning myself with things that I don't have to concern myself with. And so I think I'm pretty confident in saying that 99.9% of you out there, if you predominantly train with weights, you probably never have to consider CNS fatigue again in your life. So there you go, you're welcome for that. Now for me personally, the greatest fatigue I experience, at least subjectively, is just mental fatigue. And for that reason, I don't really want to spend my rest days thinking about how to be optimal. In fact, I don't want to spend them thinking about the gym or gains whatsoever. I actually just want to have amnesia for a bit and pretend that I'm just an old person who doesn't train all the time, right? And so that's why you're not going to see me getting in an ice bath. You're not going to see me foam rolling, etc., right? I'm going to do some stretching, but that's not even really related to recovery or the gym whatsoever. That's just because I find it relaxing, mate, and it makes me weirdly aware of my body. Anyway, let's carry on with the day.
Oh, that head scratch.
Yes, people, so I do try and hit a walk as often as I possibly can. Most days, even days when I train, but not every day. Certainly on rest days though, because I feel like you have to move a little bit, don't you? Have to do some form of active rest. Otherwise you just feel like a bit of a slug if you don't do anything at all. Like, maybe that's just me being a weirdo. But I am somewhat hindered right now because I'm recovering from a broken foot, mate. A broken fifth metatarsal. Anyway, we've got a guest today. Max, say hello. Say hello. Where's your stick? I used to be like proper 10k steps a day kind of guy. Broke my foot. First few days, checked my average steps. It's like 300, mate. Not ideal, but that's what happens when you got a robo boot. Anyway, it's off now. I only actually wore it for about 5 hours. Yeah, you poor. You're alright. You're alright, lad.
He's a good boy. Let's do it on here though now.
That's a dirty stick, lad. Isn't it? A dirty stick. It's right in front of you, mate. Come on. Sort it.
You know, like caramel and chocolate.
So as with the walking, I don't stretch every day, but I certainly do it every rest day, and I suppose part of that is probably just about having more time available from not training. I'm currently not able to do all of my usual stretches because I can't put too much pressure on my foot in certain positions, but I'm just doing what I can today. For me, the most difficult areas to feel like I'm getting a good stretch are my upper hamstrings and glutes, but I've found a couple that do seem to at least feel like they are doing the job. I watched a video by Tom Merrick about this that explains stretching your hamstrings with a straight back versus rounded, as when touching your toes, for example. I'll link that because it will explain better than I ever could. I always do my stretches later in the day, usually in the evening before I sit down for dinner. I just feel that they are a bit more productive later, and it's also a pretty nice way to unwind at the end of the day. Sainsbury's Stone Baked Chicken, Tomato and Ricotta Thin and Crispy Pizza. 482 calories for the whole thing. Decent. Have them now and again, just whenever I treat myself and go Sainsbury's. Obviously, you can't be doing that every week. The basil from Sainsbury's. I'm saying it's better than other basil, right? Just take it from me. This is better than pizza. Joey D, the type of guy to put pizza on his basil. Right, we're gonna do it. I'm gonna show you. Second major move. Focus on that. Lee Kum Kee, Chu Chow, chili oil, mate. There's levels to this game. Oh man, what an addition. See, just those two things on a pizza. It's just another dimension, mate. Just worlds apart. Right, let's do it. Oh la la. Oh.
Affect our friendship, but I like Ben. I like you say about it being Valentine's Day.
A sick arm, mate. I'll throw an arm tent in there just so that people still know you lift, because it's not very apparent, is it? Anyway, before we go, I did just want to touch briefly on rest day frequency, because I realise I've done a full video about rest days and not even mentioned it whatsoever. It's probably quite a big thing. So personally, I'm guilty of not resting enough. Certainly in the past I've been through phases where I've trained, actually lifted weights 6 days a week, and looking back, like, I just didn't even notice any difference in my physique whatsoever over times when I've trained 5 times a week. You know, if you look at it proportionally, training twice a week is 100% more than training once a week, and training 3 times is 50% more than training twice a week. By the time you get up to like 5 to 6 days, I don't think it's that much difference. Now that might just be complete bro science, but you know, at least anecdotally that held true for me. So nowadays I have at least 2 rest days a week, sometimes even 3. And I think for most people, like, that's enough. Like 4 or 5 weight training sessions per week is enough to like build a solid physique, right? And I put those rest days just wherever it's convenient, you know, either where it's convenient because I just want to go and do something with a day and not train, or if I've had a few training sessions on the run, sometimes I feel like the most recent one, you know, starts to feel a bit just less than optimal. Maybe I don't feel that energetic and strong in the gym. You know, again, it's completely subjective. You know, we call it auto-regulation when it means like just deciding, mate. And so if I get to feeling like that, then I'll think, right, maybe I'll just chuck in a rest day. But as with most things, I don't think you need to be this like super regimented person, you know, adapt, like just wing stuff, man. That's my advice, just wing. I'm winging everything, man. Anyway, see you later. Like my video, subscribe if you're not already. You should be already, to be fair, like, do you know what I mean? You've had about 14 minutes now. See you later.
Jordy Lenny is my hero.